Should the Jedi have led the clone army? They were peacekeepers, philosophers, mystics devoted to serenity, yet in the span of a single vote in the Galactic Senate, the Jedi became something else entirely. Generals in one of the deadliest wars the galaxy had ever seen. But should they have ever worn the mantle of generals at all? Or did placing the Jedi at the head of the Grand Army of the Republic seal both their fate and the fate of the Republic itself? For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi served as guardians of the peace and justice. Their lives were shaped by a code that preached serenity over passion, defense over aggression. They wielded lightsabers, yes, but these were weapons of last resort, symbols of balance rather than conquest. The High Republic era portrays Jedi more like explorers and mediators than warriors, but in the year 22 BBY, that changed forever. The Republic, crumbling under separatist threat, granted Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers. A secret clone army, commissioned in the shadows by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas and ultimately manipulated by Darth Sidious, was revealed on Kamino. The Jedi, caught between loyalty to the Republic and fidelity to their own principles, accepted leadership over this army. Almost overnight, they became generals. But were these warrior monks truly fit to lead millions of soldiers in a brutal war? Or did the role of general corrupt the very essence of what it meant to be Jedi? And more chilling still, did it play perfectly into the hands of the Sith? Let's start with those who believe the Jedi were exactly who the Republic needed on the front lines. First, the Jedi were supremely gifted beings. Their senses extended into the Force, granting them split-second reflexes, the ability to anticipate danger, and in some cases, visions of the future itself. On the battlefield, this meant they could save countless lives. In the Clone Wars, we watch Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and countless others defy impossible odds, whether rescuing clone units surrounded on Umbara or halting separatist superweapons. Jedi generals repeatedly snatch victory from the jaws of certain defeat. Second, the Jedi offered a crucial moral compass. Unlike other military leaders, they refused to view war as merely a numbers game. We see this especially in episodes like the Citadel arc, where Tarkin openly criticizes the Jedi's refusal to sacrifice prisoners for strategic advantage. Yet to the Jedi, each life mattered, even in war. Third, the Jedi were symbols of hope. To the average citizen of the Republic, the sight of a Jedi leading clones into battle was the promise that good would prevail. Palpatine himself manipulated this perception, knowing that keeping Jedi on the front lines cemented public confidence in the war effort. And finally, who else was there? The Republic's navy, while formidable, was still small and untested at the war's outset. Officers like Yularen and Tarkin were capable, but few others possessed the strategic vision the war demanded in those chaotic early months. Perhaps without the Jedi, the Republic might have fallen in the first year. If you are enjoying this debate, please like and subscribe, and join us every week for a new dive into the galaxy far, far away. Now to the other side, and where my own doubts begin to emerge. The Jedi were never trained to be soldiers. Their true mission, as Kenobi himself once said, was to defend and protect, never to attack. By placing them in charge of vast military campaigns, the Republic forced them into decisions utterly foreign to their way of life. They struggled with logistics, supply lines, troop rotations, concepts that seasoned military minds like Tarkin or Yularen understood as second nature. Karen Travis's Republic Commando delves deep into this tension. Clones under Jedi command sometimes viewed their generals as naive, unable to grasp the harsh realities of war, and it went beyond tactical skill. It struck at the Jedi's very soul. Leading an army meant making choices no Jedi should have to make. Launching preemptive strikes, sacrificing soldiers for strategic advantage, or targeting civilian infrastructure. Each of these steps dragged the Jedi closer to the dark side. And look at Anakin Skywalker. He was arguably the war's most successful general because he did what others would not. He took decisive, often brutal action, yet his victories came at a terrible cost. His soul twisted under the pressure of choices no Jedi should be forced to make. Meanwhile, officers like Tarkin believed they could have ended the war much faster, if not restrained by the Jedi's ethics. In Tarkin by James Luceno, we see how Tarkin's cold efficiency was exactly what Palpatine wanted in his new empire. Had Tarkin, Yularen, and other strategists taken full control from the beginning, the Republic might have achieved victory sooner and with fewer overall casualties. Because in war, victory writes history, morality becomes a footnote. But perhaps the question is flawed from the beginning, because the Jedi didn't choose to become generals entirely of their own free will. Palpatine engineered the entire Clone Wars as a masterstroke to destroy the Jedi. He pushed them into military command, knowing it would compromise their ideals. He forced them to fight in a war they couldn't morally win, and he used their leadership to convince the galaxy the Jedi were dangerous warlords. By becoming generals, the Jedi gave Palpatine the evidence he needed to justify Order 66 in the eyes of the public. They went from monks to military tyrants. Perhaps the true tragedy is not whether the Jedi should have led armies, but that they were manipulated into it and damned for it afterward. The Jedi led the clone army, but the Sith led the Jedi. So, where do I stand? I believe the Jedi should never have been generals, because war demands ruthless choices. It demands a willingness to sacrifice the few for the many. The Jedi were never meant for that burden. Anakin Skywalker's brilliance as a general proves it. He won because he was willing to bend, and sometimes break, every rule the Jedi lived by. But in doing so, he fell, and the rest of the Order fell with him. Instead, men like Tarkin and Yularen, however cold they might seem, were trained to fight wars and make decisions in terms of strategy, not morality. Clones were literally bred to serve under military leadership. If the Republic had let the Jedi remain peacekeepers, spiritual guides and negotiators, perhaps they could have remained untainted. Instead, they were drawn into a game they could never win, and the Republic paid the ultimate price. I believe the Jedi should have stayed off the battlefield, not because they were weak, but because the battlefield demanded them to become something they were never meant to be. But now, I want to know your view. Should the Jedi have led the clone army, Or was that the very choice that doomed them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Next week, we will be discussing the Inquisitors. Were they victims or villains? You won't want to miss it. If you are enjoying these videos, become a member and let's uncover the galaxy's biggest secrets together. Thanks for watching.